Hello everyone. Today we're looking into 4 more unsolved cases of missing men from across Canada, whose cases hardly have any information, and whose families are still fighting for answers of where they are and what may have happened to them. 31-year-old Derek Gibbs is described as a hard worker and dedicated father of 3 children, a brother, a son, a friend, and loved one to many. During the summer of 2024, Derek and the mother of his children would separate. As most separations, especially with children, this was a difficult time for him. His sister would tell Niagara 411 that in the time leading up to Derek's disappearance, he was in a vulnerable state. Derek was last seen in the city of Port Colborne on Monday, December 16th of 2024. Port Colborne is a city in Ontario, Canada, located on Lake Erie at the southern end of the Welland Canal in the Niagara region of southern Ontario. He'd be reported missing to Niagara Regional Police the following day by concerned family. Derek's gym bag would also be found that day by the Welland Canal. It's thought that he also had a phone on him that day, but it's unclear whether or not that phone had service. It's also not been disclosed by police where it last pinged, or if they were even able to recover any information from his phone provider. Police have asked that residents in the areas of Elm Street, Main Street, and Clarence Street, along with the areas of King Street and properties adjacent to the west side of the Welland Canal, to check their properties, outbuildings, garages, and unused vehicles that may be stored for winter for any signs of Derek. I think it's also very important to check any cameras that you may have or you may own in those areas. It's been a couple months now, so I'm not sure if there would still be any footage stored from that time period, but if you do, please go back and check because you may have caught something on there that could be very important. The police, along with Derek's family, are very concerned about his welfare. Family and volunteers would also help search Port Colborne and surrounding areas, but with no success. According to a GoFundMe set up to help support Derek's children, Derek's ex is said to be doing her best to provide for them, but with Derek's absence, the strain on their household has been hard to manage. While she has been working tirelessly to care for them, there are many challenges in meeting all their needs. Any support that can be offered will help ease the family's burden and allow them to focus on healing and moving forward. Derek's children are said to be ages 7, 10, and 12, so they completely understand what is going on here, and I can't imagine how stressful of a time this would be considering their father disappeared just before Christmas. Using the funds, the family would also be able to print 1,000 posters and with the help of volunteers would distribute them around Port Colborne and surrounding areas. They've also been asking for donations so that they can hire a lawyer to manage Derek's estate in his absence, which has been very costly. On Boxing Day, a vigil was said to be held in Derek's honor. Now that's all the information we have on Derek's case. It is very concerning that his gym bag was found near the Welland Canal. Considering it's wintertime, I really wonder what are the possibilities of him falling into that canal and not being found or having any signs that he fell into there. I'm not sure if there was any snow on the ground in that point of time where he may have fell in. And if there was, you'd think there'd be some kind of signs of the snow being moved, maybe footprints, stuff like that. And if the water was frozen to some extent, there may have been some signs there that someone fell in. However, I want to guess it might not have been, or else we would know about these signs. However, if the canal is now frozen over and he did fall into it, it might not be till the spring that he could be recovered. But I guess there's always the chance that he could have been kidnapped and his bag was just, left on the ground. It's very concerning though. I'm really curious what was going on in the days leading up to his disappearance. Who were the last people to have seen him? What did he seem like? What was he doing that day? Or what was he supposed to be doing that day, at least, that he had his gym bag with him? Was he simply just going to the gym and coming home? Because then that really concerns me that if this wasn't an accident, that there may be foul play of some sort then. Or did he have other plans? Was he supposed to be meeting up with someone or going somewhere that day? Because there's such little information, there leaves a lot of room for speculation. But this case is extremely new in the grand scheme of cases, so I truly hope that there is still a chance that Derek can be found and brought home to his family and his children. As I said, if you do live in the area, please check any cameras, any photos you took during that time period. You may have answers that this family needs. And if you haven't yet, please also go check any outer buildings that you may have in that area or any covered vehicles, like police have said. Derek is described as a white male standing 5 foot 10 inches tall and approximately 160 pounds. He was last seen wearing a Budweiser toque, a dark camouflage puffy coat, green hoodie, dark pants, running shoes, and carrying a red gym bag. He also has a large tattoo on his forearm. The information on 22-year-old Thomas Guy Jones is limited, But what we do know is that he had 2 young sons and his girlfriend was pregnant with their 3rd child. A family friend named Tara Gale would tell CBC, quote, "He cared about his family. He cared about his girlfriend. As far as I know, he'd never been in trouble. He can look after himself and stuff, so this is what doesn't make sense." End quote. Thomas, who went by Tommy, would last be seen on February 13th of 2022 behind the old paper mill on Southside Road in Grand Falls, Windsor, Newfoundland, a town of just under 14,000 residents located in the central region of the island. That week, the region was said to be plagued by extreme cold warnings, and Tommy was last known to be with an unnamed friend. Now, him and this friend were in a vehicle that ended up getting stuck and ran out of gas behind that old paper mill. According to the information that we know, after the vehicle got stuck, Tommy's friend decided that he was going to walk out of the area, but for one reason or another, Tommy decided to stay behind and wait to see if anyone came by. I'm not sure if this friend walked off to get help and then came back and Tommy wasn't there, or if this friend never even tried to get help at all. All I know is that Tommy would be reported missing the following day on Valentine's Day, February 14th. Ground searches, helicopters, and police dogs were said to be brought in to search the cold winter roads for Tommy. An increase in activity from the RCMP would also happen near Pine Camp and Southside Resource Road that included active search members and the use of a helicopter. The RCMP would request that the general public stayed clear of the area so that they didn't hamper the search efforts. Despite this, no signs of Tommy have ever seemed to have been found, or at least are publicly known, even though years have passed. Many people seem to believe that Tommy's friend holds the answers as to what happened to him, while others believe that he most likely just wandered off, got lost, and died from the elements. What I do know is that waiting inside of a vehicle in those temperatures when the car is not working, there's no heat in it, is very dangerous because it'll turn into an icebox essentially. And I guess on one hand, I could understand maybe wanting to stay behind to see if anyone else showed up so that you could get your car towed out. But why wouldn't you just call someone to get help if your car is stuck and ran out of gas? And then why would the friend walk out and then did he not come back? That's very unclear. Did this friend go get help, or did this friend just allegedly walk home? Because if so, that would mean that Tommy would have just been left there to sit in this car for the potential that someone would eventually maybe show up back there. And I think we could all ask, why didn't these men stay together? But we have countless cases where, especially when men are intoxicated, they seem to make bad choices and they seem to split up. Now, we don't know what the circumstances were here, why they were even behind that paper mill, why their car ran out of gas and got stuck there. Could it have been because it got stuck in the snow and they ran out of gas trying to get it out? Possible. But again, there is such limited information here. We're all just speculating. But the question truly is, why did only one of these friends return and why did the other go missing? I'm really curious when police interviewed this friend, which I'm hoping they did, what their story was. I'm really curious, did police go investigate the area where this vehicle was stuck? Was it still stuck there when, he was reported missing and they went looking for him? Were there any signs of a struggle near the vehicle? Again, it's winter, so there was snow on the ground at this point in time. It was extreme cold warnings. So was there any signs of footprints there? Or is there only one set, 2 sets? What's the story with that? This is a case where I'm really curious what the police know. I feel like there's so much information that we don't know here, and I'd really be interested to see what they have. Let's take one more good look at Tommy in case you know anything it may spark a memory. Tommy is described as 5 feet 7 inches tall and around 125 pounds, with collar-length brown hair and hazel eyes. He was last seen wearing a blue coat, dark jeans, and green rubber boots. 39-year-old Jake Corbiere would last be seen by family and friends on March 12th of 2023. In the 0 to 100 block of Churchill Avenue in the West End of Sault Ste. Marie. As you can see, the street is mainly residential, but does have the STS Canadian Career College on it. Police have said that they suspect foul play in Jake's disappearance. By August 7th, members of the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service, Ontario Provincial Police, and Greater Sudbury Police Service would execute a search warrant on a property in the 1400 block of People's Road, about a 4-minute drive from where Jake was last seen alive. Now, the home of question seems to be at 1455 People's Road, where a heavy law enforcement presence was captured lining the streets. People were seen searching a black vehicle and speaking to an individual by a 4-wheeler. Police were also said to comb the rear of the property. Jake's family was hopeful that he would be found that day. His sister Christina would say, quote, "Every time we hear that there's a search, we always think it's related to Jake. It makes us anxious. Then you would have all these million questions. What happened? Did he suffer?" End quote. In the end, nothing of value ended up being found from that search, and his family would be notified of that the following day. In March of 2024, nearing the 1-year anniversary of Jake's disappearance, the Garden River First Nation would announce a reward of up to $25,000 for anyone who provided information that led to finding him. A vigil would also be held that day at the local community center in honor of Jake. Garden River Bank counselor Chester Langile, who was one of Jake's cousins, would read a statement from his family, who asked the media to refrain from approaching them for interviews during the vigil. He would read, quote, "After all this time, it is difficult to hold out hope of Jake returning home to us on his own. Our hope has dwindled over time, and our worst fears that Jake has been taken from us appear more likely with each day passing." End quote. On top of all of that, the chief of Garden River's First Nation also believes that somebody out there knows something and is just not talking. Someone out there somewhere knows what happened to Jake and where he is. Again, this is a case that has extremely little information, yet this family has been fighting for years now for answers. And as the chief said, someone out there knows something, and they're holding those answers from this family. Jake is described as standing 5 foot 10 inches tall with a thin build, brown eyes, and short brown hair. 26-year-old Colten David Convey was last seen in Kitscoty, Alberta on October 31st of 2024. Kitscoty is a village located in central Alberta, Canada, situated at the junction of Highway 16 and Highway 897. The village is located approximately midway between Edmonton and Saskatoon. It's thought to be possible that Colten may have been traveling towards Wetaskiwin, which is an area south of Edmonton that we've spoken about many times before, due to women both going missing and being found dead in that area. That's honestly all we know about Colten and his disappearance. The information on his case is even less known. There's even less information. All we know is that he was last seen in Kitscoty, and then he may have been traveling towards Wetaskiwin. We don't know any of the circumstances, why he may have been traveling to this whole different area. Was there somebody he was going to meet with there? Was he going to start a new life? Was he just traveling there for fun? There is an airport somewhat in that area, not north of there, I think it is, if I remember correctly. So could he have been going towards that? There's just so many possibilities, honestly. But if you know anything else about Colten's disappearance or his case, please comment down below. Let's chat about it. Colten is described as an Aboriginal male standing 6 foot 2 inches tall, approximately 190 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. He has many tattoos, including the words, "My struggle today is my strength tomorrow" on his right arm, and "In time, this too shall pass" on his right abdomen, as well as a leaf with mountains on his left chest. What happened to Derek, Tommy, Jake, and Colten? And do you have any information about their whereabouts or what may have happened to them? I'll have all the information to contact the authorities in their cases down below. And considering these 4 cases have such little information, let me know down below if you know more about these cases. I'm extremely interested, and if you could help these families out, please share out their missing persons flyers, please share out their names, their faces, please go support these families. And if you want to, you can also share this video out as well. If there are any cases you want me to cover, especially smaller, lesser known cases like these, please comment the names down below and I'll add them to my list. I truly hope these 4 men can be found and located, because there are truly one too many of these cases with hardly any information, with hardly any support, and there are far too many families out there without answers. As always, I hope you all stay safe out there, lock your windows and doors, and I hope to see you in the next video.